Hi, I'm Cameron Murray, and I worked with Kim Hoffman on Pixton. I'm going to start you off with a little how-to. So basically, once you create an account at Pixton.com, you should get to a page that looks something like this. So if we could click Create a Comic now, you'll see that there's different things you can create. Under Comic Strip, you have the basic version, which essentially you just choose a background, characters, and then type your text. And essentially it saves a lot of time, but it's not as customizable. With the advanced, you can create each background individually, select each character individually, and add everything to your liking. I'm going to go back. There's also a storyboard. This is restricted due to the premium upgrade, so you can't really select them unless you upgrade to Pixton Plus. So widescreen and camera formats are not allowed. You have to go with the one-to-one, so essentially square panel comic strip. And that allows you to do 3 per row. And then lastly is the graphic novel. So again, this is similar to the first one we looked at, where you have a basic and then an advanced option, and you can go from there. I'm going to take you a little bit more in depth now with my own that I started working on. So here I chose the graphic novel because I thought it would work best. I have different options. I did select the advanced method because it allowed me to customize everything to my liking. So as you can see here, I've already got a few slides or a few picture strips set up. If we click on them, I can go back and edit them. So let's add a new one. This graphic novel or story, whatever you want to call it, that I started working on could be something that I would do in class. As you can see, if you go back through my text, you'll see that there are certain words that I made bold, and I like this option because it would allow me to have my students do the same, so that if I'm asking them to use certain words in a story and create their own story, they can do that, and then it's a little bit easier for me to go back and check and say, okay, they used those words, and then obviously look a little bit more specifically at the grammar. Now the nice thing is that once you start creating each slide with different characters and things like that, if you click the plus button to add a new panel, it adds the previous characters and sometimes even the props. Like I added some luggage here and some speech bubbles. So that's a very nice feature. It saves some time. Right now I'm going to actually get rid of a few things, and I'm going to change my background. So to do that, you click this little add background button. I've been using the travel presets, so I'm going to continue using them, and now let's say maybe that I get onto my plane. So you can see it automatically changes the stance and the gestures of your character, but I can of course zoom in and out a little bit. If I want a little bit more space to work with, I can move the background around, and let's say I want to go with that. So I'm going to click add prop now, and down here I can search. I'm going to search luggage so I can get my luggage back in the scene, and maybe I'll just sit that right there. Now sometimes you can send them to the back, and as you can see, it's layered so that I can kind of hide it, make it look more realistic, and 3D. Okay, let's add some text. So I'm going to click, if I click on my character, I can move him a little bit. He kind of looks like he's falling off the seat. But let's add some text for him. So now is when you can type whatever you want them to say. For mine, I'll just say, now I am on the plane. Alright, and I can drag that to wherever I want. So that's pretty simple. but that's the gist of it. I'm going to show you how you can kind of customize your character a little bit as well. So I can edit his expression. If you click on certain body parts, you can drag them, as you can see. If I hold, sometimes that resets them. Other times you can choose different expressions. So let's go with this one. Again, if you press and hold, you can change the hand expression or hand, however that looks. And then I can drag and move his arms. Basically everything can be moved. And I can also rotate things a little bit. I'll rotate his head there. You can edit proportions if that's something you need to do. You can extend or shorten the arms, legs, all sorts of stuff. And under edit looks, if I for some reason would want to change the outfit, I can also do that by picking an outfit, and they have plenty to choose from. There are many, many pages like this. I'm not going to actually change mine, but that is one of the options. The last thing I want to show you is that here I can change the text size, I can change the font, and just do a couple more other options like the tail of the bubble or just the shape of the bubble. And then the other thing that I can do is I can actually record sound. So as you can see here, I can allow my microphone to be used and then record sound over each panel, which I think is a pretty cool option, especially for foreign language. So that's something to consider as well. Alright, let's say that I'm finished. One of the things that is unfortunate is that when I click download, you'll see that it says I have to upgrade. So we can't actually download them unless you upgrade, and as you might have seen in our blog post, it is not that cheap. So we can hit publish, and instead of downloading, this allows us to publish it. If I want to click a title, I'm just going to do okay. Alright, so now I can get the link and I can share that with whomever I'd like. In the next part, Kim is going to explain a little bit about what she did and how it fits with her content area. And she'll review some of the same things I did, but hopefully you got to see some of the specifics as I walk you through how you can create it, and then Kim's going to show you everything based on her own creation. So, thank you for viewing, and stay tuned for Kim.
Hi everybody, this is Kim Hoffman, and I had the opportunity of taking a look at the Pixton software with Cameron. Cameron actually started the first half of this presentation where she's going to actually go through all of the pieces of Pixton and tell you how to use it. And my job was to take the Pixton and go through and create a presentation or a comic strip using it, how it would be used in my classroom. So I teach STEAM and gifted and talented, and I decided to take Pixton and see how it would work for the STEAM classroom that I teach. So there's two ways you could use it. You could use the templates that Pixton has for the software, or you could even go and create one from scratch. So I decided that I would create my Pixton from scratch. And the reason I chose that is because when you click on from scratch, you get to choose from a bunch of different layouts. And so I was really drawn to this one, which is called a mind map, because with my STEAM students, especially when we're doing engineering and design challenges, one of the things that we do talk about is using a mind map when we're doing brainstorming. So I felt like this one would really tap into something that I already do in class. So the next thing is that we have to choose a panel layout. And I really like this one up at the top here, which has title and description, because I felt that it would be the optimum place for the kids to be able to write what they needed to as far as labeling and describing the things that they needed to within that brainstorming mind map that they were going to create. So because I have the basic version, there are two types. One is basic and advanced, which Cameron talked about in her first one. The basic one is free. You have to choose that for this part, which that's what I selected. After that, it brings you into the part where you're going to select your prompts. The students selected the one that would have to do with the beach. And the reason why we would have them select that is because my students were brainstorming about potential problems with cell phones at the beach. So that's why I would have them select that. And then I wanted them to, after they brainstormed potential problems for the beach, I wanted them to come up with some ideas, and then we were going to fix that problem by creating different devices to fix it. So after they selected their background, they could choose from 1, 2, or 3 characters, and then they actually got to choose those characters from the bottom here. And then that would bring them into actually creating the separate pieces within the map. So I chose the little girl, and then I started creating the different panels within the map. So the first panel that I chose is right here, which brought the little girl into the scene. And then you could change her emotions, you could change her backgrounds, you could begin putting in the title, which I did here. I put my phone is going to be overheated because it's hot. And then I started putting in the information. This is the final map that I had. I was able to choose all different backgrounds within Pixton. When you choose like a topic like the beach, it doesn't give you just one background. There are several that you can choose from. And this is just 5. I think there was like 25 different ones that had for the beach. So one of them, the little dialogue box that the girl had, it was the fact that she was saying that, it was overheating at the beach. So she was talking about the potential problem that she had was that the phone could overheat. Then she's walking on the beach and she was saying, wow, there's lots of sand at the beach. And then the potential problem would be that her phone could get sandy. And then her feet getting in the water, her feet were wet. So she was mentioning the fact that maybe if her feet were getting wet, that maybe her phone would get wet too. Then she was talking about the glare from the sun. And then the fact that she was so far away from home, how is she ever going to charge her phone? So I thought this was a really great activity that I could do with my class. That you could even do with your own class within your school, not just for a STEAM class, but for any class that uses mind map. The only problem that I have with this type of software is that if you don't pay for it, there's no way of actually printing it out. You can't make a PDF file or a JPEG, but you could do a screenshot so that you could ask the kids to do a screenshot, throw it into a Google Doc of some sort, and then they could pop it off to you. So there is ways around it. The other unfortunate part is, however, that we did notice it's only a 15-day trial. So unless you were actually going to sit down and have them change their emails all the time, it's not really something that would be conducive to anything that we're doing in the classroom over long term. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, stay tuned for Cameron's piece if you haven't already watched it. Hopefully you watched hers first. And I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening.